Well, Mr. Mark Jacobs joins us now. He was the former Attorney General, or has been a former Attorney General in Kaduna State, and was also a national legal advisor to the PDP from 2007 to 2009. But now he practices as a private legal practitioner. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you very much.
Well, you saw the development happening, I think, on Saturday, 4th of February, there, the foundation stone being laid for, I think, is it an army barracks in Kamfanchan, local government area. They believe that that would be one of the, if you station soldiers there, we could have a situation whereby at least peace is enforced. Do you think that will help?
Personally, that is a far-fetched and long-term solution. Yes, we can build barracks, but you and I know how long does it take to build a barracks. And we have a situation at hand. Would you wait until the building is completed before you take charge of the situation? We've been screaming since last year, literally from around April last year. The killings heightened. And village after village, community after community went down. And we expected, and we're still expecting, that action, prompt action be taken. Before, if you want to follow the bureaucracy of building, getting approvals for military formations or battalions to be deployed. But if the killers continue the way they have been continuing... Are
you saying that, I mean, some people definitely admit, a lot of people admit that, you know, the situation of things is not what it was as of last year, that there's been a marked improvement. Is that not so?
Certainly, there has been a marked improvement, but the situation has not ended. The security challenge is still there. People are not allowed to go to their farms. People are being killed if they venture into their farms to either harvest or attempt to till the soil. It's happening.
Is that still the situation?
Yeah.
Because the chief of army staff said that he's ordered his men to go into the farms as well. And they've also asked that people be grouped into, or, you know, they group themselves and then they have escorts take them into the farm. That is not being done?
I can tell you I attended a funeral last week of a man who was killed in his farm. So the orders are there. Whether the orders have been complied with is not within my capacity to say. But we can say there are still victims being hacked down simply because they went to their farm.
How rampant is that?
It's quite constant. And people are afraid for their lives, so they don't even go to the farms.
When you say it's quite constant, I mean, it's possible that, yes, one or two incidences may have happened, but in terms of frequency, how rampant is that?
For me, I speak of what I have seen. And there are many incidences that are not reported. And it's not one isolated, idle community. No, the area is vast. And you may not even have the records of what is happening. But I know that the reports are so rampant, they are constant, weekly. You have 2, 3 in several villages that are victims, virtually happening every week.
Governor Nasir El-Rufai was on Sunrise Daily yesterday, and he talked again about the roots of the conflict. He says that this has been on for quite a while. I mean, he talked about the very first time there was conflict in Kaduna and how since then there's been many more conflicts with almost nothing being done about it. So this impunity, according to him, has gone on unchecked. A lot of people believe that this is pure and plain criminality. He's vowed to bring the perpetrators of this, to justice. Do you think that that is feasible, and do you think it will help?
First of all, Governor Nasir is full of froth and bubble. He talks more than he acts. And I will say, with every sense of responsibility, that he now stands as the spokesperson of the attackers. And I'll tell you why. You cannot speak as though you are Nasir El-Rufai, not as the governor of Kaduna State. If you are governor of Kaduna State, you must speak for everybody. A situation where a governor will open up and identify the church and community leaders of Southern Kaduna as the perpetrators, as the purveyors, as the sponsors of the killers of their own people. It's not just unfair, but sheer irresponsibility for anybody sitting as the governor to come on air and begin to use words like so-called citizens. It's not just insultive, but it's an indication of the mindset of the person, that he has identified the people he either wants to fight or he wants to malign, and because God has given him power, he goes all out against them. So, for me,
I think that
there has been crisis.
Just a moment.
Yes.
The governor was pretty clear. I mean,
Yes.
he tried to draw a conclusion, because the instance he cited about foreign herdsmen, for instance,
Yes.
Which Sokapo has criticized very strongly about foreign herdsmen and the 2011 post-election crisis.
Yes.
He said that happened sometime. Well, he gave that instance in April last year.
Yeah.
And so we asked if that was responsible for previous violence. It's up to April, where he said that it had been peace for close to 6 months. What was responsible for the renewed violence they began to witness from sometime in May? Because he said that they had tried to do a lot of peace moves. Even at that point, they had paid some compensation. They had even talked to some people, the governor of Plateau State, who had also brought in their own, brought in some people to try and help, build the peace. Now, he said that one of the reasons he thinks that this violence has started all over again is because he believes that there are people who are benefiting from the violence and perhaps will not benefit from it anymore. And that's the reason why he believes the violence, started all over again. Do you agree with that?
I have a lot of concern when I listen to my governor, because he contradicts himself very freely. First of all, you stand up to say that the killers are not Nigerians. That is one interpretation you give. The second interpretation is that the people sponsoring are in Southern Kaduna. And then, when we look at it, 99.9% of the victims are Southern Kaduna people. Does it make sense that the sponsors of the crisis or the killings are people in Southern Kaduna, and specifically, he said, church leaders? I listened to him and I was shocked, because that's the first time someone in that kind of hallowed office would make such a comment, that church leaders were the beneficiaries.
Is it
of
impossible?
This. It is crassly impossible, because
in today's world, where we hear that pastors do all sorts of things, we've seen some very ridiculous things, for want of a better word, things you wonder what this has got to do with Christianity. We've heard of pastors giving their people insecticides, spraying them and doing all sorts of things. Pastors who are running all sorts of, funny churches.
Yeah.
Is it impossible that, some people could be doing this in the name of religion?
For us in Southern Kaduna, no pastor will do that. No pastor. And we challenge the governor to prove it. Because, like I said, virtually all the victims were not found to have died in church. There were people sleeping in their houses. There were people that had their villages surrounded and hounded down. They were not at war or at battle. The instances we talk about where churches or church leaders give people cyanide and then they die, they gather in a congregation and are indoctrinated and are taught to do this thing. And it's like suicide. This is different. It is a situation where village after village is surrounded and houses are set ablaze. If you run out of your house, you are hacked down. So it's completely absurd for someone in the position of governor to make such allegations. And when you asked him for proof, he said the security agencies are still investigating. And you're already out in the air expressing such callous opinion. It's dangerous. It could cause more than Rufai is talking about. Because, for God's sake, you are not the governor of a certain section. You are the governor of the state. Everybody is supposed to be protected and shielded by you. You dare not, and you should not expose people to ridicule, even if it is just for ridicule purpose that you are saying these things. We have respected church leaders. We have responsible church leaders who have lost families. They have been the target. Churches were first targeted in all the villages.
Mr. Mark Jacobs, I'm going to ask you to hold your thoughts for us. We will take a moment now, and we will continue when we return.
Thank you.
Stay with us.